Let's begin, shall we? So yeah, for those of you who are just coming in now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of the teams, rank them. We have the Discord rankings of all the teams as well that we can kind of compare against. And of course, we got Flynn's spreadsheet of all the teams, most of which are complete at this point. We're getting to a point where most of the teams are pretty much confirmed, which is, you know, I did want to wait somewhat to do this before this, but let's dive in, shall we? But before we do that, today's video is being sponsored by Valorant Tracker, the place you go to find out everything you need to know about yourself when playing Valorant. For instance, you can check a load of stats like your previous game's performance, how you perform with each gun, or even how well you do on every map. Somehow I have a 68% win rate on Breeze all time, but Riot took away my second best map Split, and you all now know why I really hate Icebox. But you can also improve by learning lineups on each agent as well. People are even posting Harbor lineups, so you know there's a lot in there. So use the link in the description or the pinned comment to learn about how you play and how you might get better today. Thanks to Valorant Tracker for sponsoring the video. We'll start with the first team. And the first team is 100 Thieves. So 100 Thieves, obviously the only real changes that they've had from the old 100 Thieves that we saw at Champs was the addition of Cryo for Will, and of course Sean left as the coach. The people ranked 100 Thieves 8th out of the 30. And I think that probably equates to being an A tier team. And so I'll put them in the A tier. I'd be kind of shocked if they, you know, weren't at least a B tier team. I'd be, you know, super shocked if they were anything below that. And, you know, potentially if everything kind of goes right, I think that they could move up into the S tier as well. Here's the thing. I actually don't think I'm going to put anyone in the bottom feed of the list. I don't actually think that the gap in Valorant is big enough to warrant that. But with that in mind, let's take a look at Crew. So Crew's team, they've got Jean Davy, S, Klaus, Melser, and Nags. Some of them sticking with Klaus and Nags, and 3 new additions. I've got to say though, looking at that roster, I think, you know, they lost their best player in my opinion in Kesnet. They also lost Mazzino, who's another fantastic player as well. Unfortunately, I think I am going to put them in the D tier to start. Here is the Team Liquid team. Safe, Yampy, Soulcast, Redgar, and Nats, keeping Emil as the coach. We don't quite know their sub yet. There is a lot of firepower here. Obviously, we all know about Nats, one of the best players in the world. Redgar, obviously, most of you will know as well. Soulcast and Yampy, of course, have proven themselves, and I think Safe is one of the most underrated players in the world, personally. This team is insane. The people had Liquid at number 5. I think I am going to put Liquid into the S tier. I feel good about this Liquid roster. Leviathan. We've got King, Nazir, Shai, Mazzino, Tacolia, Owner as the coach, and Kesnet as the sub. Now, I've mentioned this anytime I've spoke about Leviathan before. I don't see how Kesnet is the sub, because he's their best player. And you don't put your best player on the bench, in my opinion. But the rest of this team, I think, is still good either way. I really like this team. I think I'm going to be higher on this. Right, people rank them 12th. I think I'm going to put them higher than 12th. I'm going to put them in the A tier. I'll put them behind 100 Thieves. Giants, Hoodie, Nookie, Cloud, Rhyme, Fatinho, and Pipson as the coach. So we've got kind of a somewhat G2 thing going on here. This, I think, is like your definition solid team. Where did people put the Giants? You put Giants at 15th. Yeah, this to me sounds about right. This to me is like your classic B tier team where it's like, if you're a top team, they're one of those teams where it's like, oh, do we have to play Giants? Like, you know, I could see them like having one like really good map that they beat everyone on. DRX. Everything's pretty much stayed the same. Where did the people rank them? The people had them 4th overall. And yeah, this one I think is an easy S tier. The question is, are they above Team Liquid? I think if I don't put them above Team Liquid, you guys are going to riot. So I will put them above, because I actually do believe that, particularly going into this next tournament, I feel good about where DRX are as a whole. I think they'll be pretty good. Next is Talon. Garnet S, Jit Boys S, Foxy. Fox ruined it. He needed an S at his name. Look at what we could have done here. Even Zeus. But yeah, we got the ex-Xersha core. Where did people have the Talons? They had the Talons down here. Down below Crew. I think I disagree with that overall. I think I have more faith in Talon. I'm going to put Talon in the C tier. K-Corp have gone with a French-speaking roster. Obviously, the big ones that they are bringing in are Scream and Nevera. K-Corp to me are an interesting one because I could see a lot of different outcomes for them. I could see this completely not working, or I could see it working pretty well indeed, and everything in between. And that's kind of makes it a bit more tricky to rank this team. People had them at 18th. I think I'm going to put them in the C tier. Okay, NRG. But this probably will be the NRG team at this point. The Optic Core artist as well, has been told by FPX that he will play in a different region. So that seems like, he's going to NRG. It's super, super interesting to me to see the comparison of NRG versus Cloud9. What was pushing Optic forward in the past, right? Was it the brains of Chet and FNS? Was that kind of the leading cause to their success? Or was it the frag potential of someone like Ye and Marved? Was that what they needed to succeed? But I do think that the way that FNS calls games gives them an advantage. Yes, Ye is obviously a loss, but Artis isn't a bad replacement. I honestly think, I know a lot of you are probably going to say A tier. I think NRG are an S tier team. Now, what did the people rank NRG? You had NRG 9th. So you had NRG below 100 Thieves. So I've gone and put NRG above 100 Thieves. And now we come to Sentinels. We all probably are aware of the Sentinels team at this point. You got Zekken, you got Def from Xset, you got Sassy, Pancada from obviously Loud, and then you got Tens, who's Tens. Love the coaching staff. Zekken, super, super solid. But then to me, there are question marks. Let's start with Sassy and Pancada. Sassy and Pancada are obviously great players, but obviously there will be questions in terms of they're playing for an English language team now. Then there's the question about Def as well, right? That Def obviously was co-IGLing in his team before. The sense that I got from Loud as well is that yes, Sadhack was the IGL, but like Sassy and Sadhack would kind of together put their brains together to figure out things as kind of a duo. Will that be the same here with Def and Sassy? I don't know. And then you've got Tens. Could he just completely pop off and everyone agree that he's like a top player in the world again? Yep. Could absolutely see that happening. Could it go the other way where Tens struggles again and then there isn't as much of maybe an excuse of the team being dysfunctional or whatnot, and it comes to Tens and it's like, we start to question Tens more and more and more and more. It could go either way. I think that again, Sentinels are a large range outcome team. So there's a lot of questions there. Now, the people had Sentinels at 6th. I'm personally not as high on Sentinels, so I'm going to put them... This is an interesting choice now. I'm going to put them behind 100 Thieves. Okay, Cloud9. Probably all aware of the team at this point. You got Leaf, Zelsis, Seppa, Vanity, and of course, Ye. There are questions about Cloud9. One is the C9 core. The C9 core in 2022... did okay, I guess, ish. Probably not nearly as well as they probably thought they would have. Obviously, they have since added 2 excellent players and the best player in the world, and they've added a very good coach as well. So obviously they have upgraded, and I'm not stupid. I understand they have upgraded. And the second question I have for the C9 team is roles, particularly if Chamber gets nerfed. But what happens if the meta on, let's take a map like Bind, right? What happens if our Bind meta becomes very, very stable? Chamber gets nerfed. No one plays Chamber on Bind anymore, right? Everyone's playing Fade. Everyone's playing Raze. Everyone's playing Viper, Brim, and Sky, right? Let's say that every team is just playing like on who's playing what. That's the negative skew. The positive skew is that they just destroy everyone, right? Because they got the talent to do so. The people had them at 2. Now, I don't think I'm ready to say 2. But I will put them, I think, into the S tier. For now, I'm going to put them just above NRG. But in my mind, it's extremely close. Next up, Team Secret. They got Dubstep, Jesse Vash, Envy, Borkum, Jeremy. So this is mostly, the same core from the old Team Secret roster. Been a while since we've seen them on the international stage. I just don't see a world in which a team that couldn't make it to international tournaments this year, I can consider them to be like, oh yeah, they're going to be very competitive. Where did the people have them? The people had them as the second bottom, and I honestly can kind of see why. I do think that that probably is true, and I'd probably trust Crew more than I would Team Secret. And then we come to Rex Regum Quion. Since, obviously, the big problem that everyone had with what they were doing, they have since brought in, I think, Tebatol, Flipshida, and whatnot, Lemmy Moore as well. All good players. The people had them bottom. Obviously, I think this was done closer to kind of that RRQ scandal of trying to like almost cheap out. I actually honestly think that that team with the couple boom players, I'm going to put them actually above Team Secret, but I still think it's going to be a pretty big ask for them and an uphill climb. Now we come to a very interesting one in global esports. Global esports, you got the 7-man roster. You've got some, good players. I don't know about the level of English, particularly of the 2 Korean guys. Early on, they might struggle, right? This is kind of what I think is going to happen is a lot of the teams that, again, have those cores already in place are going to have that advantage. And obviously for global esports, they don't have anyone's core. They've just kind of ripped together a bunch of players who are, maybe pretty good in their own right. Everyone needs to get familiar with each other. Everyone needs to, be understanding how everyone else works. Everyone needs, to figure it out basically as a team. Where did the people put global? They put them down here. I think they can improve as a team, but it's going to take time, right? Rome's not going to be built in a day with this squad. Gonna put them in D. I'll throw them a bone and put them above Crew. Okay, Vitality. Molzy, Sender, Bone Cold, Twiston, and Destrian. Did get rid of my guy Batty G, as I said. But we've got Molzy, very good player. Sender, very good player. And I know that probably, particularly if you're not in EMEA, you probably won't be fully familiar with most of these guys. You might know Bone Cold. He was on Ascend when they won the World Championship. If you're a kind of longer term fan, you'll probably remember Bone Cold. But the rest of these guys, if you're not from EMEA, you might be like, who the hell are these guys? But Molzy was on Oglu and was, in my opinion, their best player. Sender has been on Vitality for a while now with Bone Cold. And Sender, again, in my opinion, is a very good player. Bone Cold has won a world championship, so it's not like he's a nobody. Twiston was always going to get... Twiston is truly like a top player. Twiston is at the level where he could be playing for a Fnatic and he wouldn't look out of place. And Destrian as well, another very solid Oglu player. I actually think this is a pretty good team. The people put them about 17th. Okay, that's not like far off what I would say. And so I'm going to put them right next to each other, but I might give the edge to Vitality. One, because they've got a better logo, and 2, because Bone Cold was on Ascent. Okay, Gen G. Now, I don't know if Elmer Putty knows Korean. I hope so. Very interesting, right? Everyone I know is super... We talked about superstar players with Vitality. Meteor, again, is like at that superstar level. Like, with maybe a bit more polish, he could be even more insane, right? And be genuinely like a top 10 player in the world, I think, if like he just reined it in maybe a bit. Where did the people have Gen G? 16th. Okay, right in between Vitality and Giants. That is an interesting position. I kind of agree. The people had Giants over Vitality. Maybe I'll just put them in the middle. Again, if we go by logos, let's just go logo diff for this. So I'd probably go 1, 2, 3. Then again, Gen G, no, I'm gonna put Gen G below. Why did you need to write Gen G on the top as well? EG are actually one of the few teams where we don't know their full 5 yet, according to the one and only Praise God spreadsheet from Flynn. Let's talk about EG, because obviously we've got kind of the old EG, and we can think about what they did. And they were a team that I would say showed flashes. Yeah, I mean, they beat Optic as well. I'm going to assume that their 5th will be a good player. It's a solid team. I still think there's potential here. People had them 23rd. I feel like for EG, I'm going to put them at the top of the C tier. Oh, but then again, I'm going to put them below the Shakor and Talon, because those guys have more experience. You probably all know where Fnatic are going, right? We don't need to spend too long. Oh, whoa, what tier are they going in, right? This is a very, 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 very strong team. The people had Fnatic at number 1. The people believe in Fnatic. And DRX probably overall had a better year than Fnatic. I don't know if I can put them above DRX. Not until I see them play. I'm going to put them in 2nd. And now we come to Na'Vi. You've got the FPX core and CNED. He's the only question. I mean, that's the thing, right? If Navi had artists still, I think, you know, I'd put them first and I wouldn't even give it a second thought. Where do I mean, obviously they're S tier, right? We don't need to know. People had them third. I've put DRX above Fnatic. Do I take Navi or DRX? I can't put right, here's the thing. I can't put DRX 1. I just can't. I just can't put DRX 1 because I haven't won anything. I feel like it's fair to say the team that has won something goes on top. Zeta have kept everything the same, I think. Yep, everything the same. They add in a sub. Everyone's still here. The gang's all here, so we know what Zeta are at this point. And, you know, look, they had Optic and Loud. They lost to Loud twice at Champs. Where did the people had Zeta 13th, kind of in this mid tier. I think that Zeta, and I'm sure most people will probably agree with this, to me, Zeta are like a top of B tier team. Like, Zeta are like the perfect B tier team, where they can go on a big run and maybe, you know, come like top 3, maybe even reach a final if everything really goes right, but they're probably not gonna win it. But then they could also have a bad performance where they lose to teams that you don't really expect and, you know, don't make a tournament. To Paper Rex. This one is an interesting one, in my opinion. This one's an interesting one. So Paper Rex stay the same. They get cigarettes. Same team, same coach, just add a sub. But there will be a debate. Are they an S tier or are they a high A tier team? Oh, that is tough. Where did the people put them? The people put Paper X in 7th. I'm going to put Paper X at the top of A for now. Okay, Loud. Another team that might end up in that same spot. We got Aspas, Sadhak, Coenzine, Toys, I think it is, Les, and Fraud is the coach. Look, you've maybe got 2 of the best young players in the world to build around there in Aspas and Les. I do think, and then you add another young player in Coenzine as well. This is Sadhak and Children. Oh my god, this is such a young team. Yeah, this is the Ninja Turtles and Sadhak is Splinter. Now, that might cause some difficulties early on, right? Generally, when we look at sports and esports, when you talk about young teams, they tend to be more inconsistent. Sometimes play insane and no one could beat them, and sometimes, you know, struggle and they lose to someone who, it's like, how have you lost to that? I'm thinking they're with Paper Rex, and I just don't know whether to put them above or below Paper Rex. I think I'm gonna put them just below for now. T1, they have Saya, Munchkin, Zeta, who is an extremely good player, Ban, and then Carpe. And I talked about question marks with team. This might be one of the biggest question marks in the whole thing. Probably some role concerns. I assume Saya will be the duelist player, if I had to guess. And so it's somewhat difficult to really properly know where to put this team. The people put T1 at 14th, kind of in that middle tier. I kind of agree. And I think the people had a good spot. Like below Zeta, upper B tier. Okay, Detonation Gaming. And these players overall, okay. But I just think, again, when we're talking about, you know, some of these other teams that have just have more experience than them, right? Just have more experience, one, playing as a team. You know, they're going to have to put it all together. This org, you know, hasn't proved itself in Valorant either, that it knows what it's doing in this esport. And people put them as the 3rd lowest team. And I kind of feel like I do have to kind of agree. Made in Brazil. But again, we've got kind of this, you know, bringing in new people, you know, kind of a mismatch of different things. But again, it's just that, you know, they don't have the experience, you know, they haven't proven it, right? There's just no proof of concept that this can work. It's just difficult to really see them being up there. The people had Made in Brazil actually at 25th, which I can understand, and I kind of agree with. Again, I'll put them at the top of D tier, I think. Now, Furia have mostly kept it together, and they have that experience of playing on that LAN, and they know what that is like now, right? As mostly this team, you know, they were one round away. They were a 13-11 Fnatic loss on Haven away from eliminating Fnatic from the tournament. The people have Furia 19th. I think that is a good spot for them. To me, they prove that they are competitive with a team that everyone thinks is very good in Fnatic. You know, we're talking about a team that, should have taken a map off DRX, did take a map off Fnatic, could have beat them on the last Haven map as well. I don't think that they are that far off. You know what, actually, I'm going to put Fury at the bottom of B. I've talked myself in. I'm putting them at the bottom of B. Footballist. So, again, they stick with mostly the team that won them the Tier 2 VRLs in EMEA. I watched all that tournament. I co-streamed all that tournament. And I thought that it was kind of weird where Footballists weren't like the team that I thought early on. I was like, ooh, these look like the team that are going to win. But they pulled off one of the big surprises in reverse sweeping Vitality. The problem is, I think a lot of the other teams have improved more than they have, right? They do have something going for them. They have this kind of, we won this tier 2 tournament where, we've got this like kind of momentum building with the team. So to me, it's like a battle probably with Carmine here. I don't think they're a D tier team. I would put them in C. Where did the people put Foot? Oh, people put them at 26th. I'm actually higher on them than that. I think it probably is a C tier. I guess they haven't really gone to any LAN or have that experience, so I'll put them at the bottom of C, I think. Team Heretics. This, again, is one of the teams where we don't have all of the answers. It looks like Kellogg's of Over Mixwell will be there, but then we got... Let's assume that it will be Boo and Zeke, even though, it's looking maybe unlikely in some cases. But, let's take this team. Neilzinho as well, the coach. This is just a team that it's like, I think it's just a step below. I don't know, I just don't feel that excited about this team. Where did the people put them? People put them 20th. In between Carmine and Foot here, just in the C tier. That's kind of where I'm feeling. Okay, Koi. Trex, Starkso, Shados, Coldamenta, Wolf, and Barbar as a coach. So, this is a good team, right? You've got Trex, again, I think one of the most underrated players in the world, personally. Shados, you'll all know, it's a very good player. Coldamenta, I think, very good IGL. Barbar, obviously, we've seen as the coach of Guild. Very funny, man, when he gets angry and stuff. Starkso, very good player as well. And then Wolfen, again, will be like the guy that people don't know. But as I've said before about Wolfen, like, if you did watch the VRL tournaments, Wolfen, at the start of that tournament, you could have shown Wolfen's highlights and people would have said, is that Ye? Like, he legitimately looked like Ye at the start of that tournament. Now, he did cool off by the end of it, and it didn't look as much like Ye. He was still playing fine, but at the start of that tournament, he absolutely dominated everyone. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? How have I never heard of him? Because he looks insane. Koi, they put Koi 11th. That makes sense to me. I'm going to put them just behind Leviathan, but I think I'm going to put them in the A tier. Last but not least, BBL. Now, again, BBL are one of the teams that we don't have their full 5. To me, the big question is, and what do people have here in the rankings? They put BBL above Foot. I might put them right next to each other. I guess I'll give BBL the benefit of the doubt. I'll put them in the C tier for now. And I like this because it gives us a nice even number for all of them. You'll each have your own disagreements. This is where I put the teams. I feel, I'll be higher on some teams, lower on others. I'm sure you'll all disagree, but I don't care.